Good morning everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Now, a slightly longer wait for this video than anticipated, and that was due to some terrible weather conditions over the last couple of weeks. But today, it's October now, so it is a little bit colder, but we've got a lovely sunny morning. Here we are with the AMG GTC. Now, initially, when I first drove the roadster version of this car, I naturally thought that the C meant that it was a cabriolet. As you can see, there's no drop top on this version, therefore it is a coupe. So it is slightly confusing, but the GTC sits between the GTS and the track-ready GTR. So initially the GTC coupe was only available as an Edition 50, and Mercedes only produced 500 of those. Once they were all sold, this then became available as a GTC coupe, and that is what we have here today. To make it a step above the GT and the GTS, Mercedes borrowed some of the styling from the GTR, so it has the swollen rear bumpers, wider tyres, but otherwise, mechanically, the suspension components all remain the same. Not to forget, I start at Mercedes-Benz of Poole as I always do, and once again thank you to them for letting me use the GTC. But I just wanted to show you guys around, just to show you what sort of stock we've got here. Mercedes-Benz of Poole are one of the AMG specialists in the area. We've got a GLE 63S SUV, followed by another one, a GLS 63 SUV, and then they've got their used car range. So it's a huge site, and there's some lovely cars here. You've got SLs, C-Class cabriolets, that's actually a C43, C63 saloon, another C63 saloon, moving around, another SL, previous E-Class, new shape D-Class, an E43 saloon, previous shape E-Class cabriolets, quite a few of those, another GLS, not an AMG but 350 diesel. And this site, I've got to say, this site is absolutely fantastic. Location wise, it couldn't be better, and there is so much stock here. So if you are in the market for a new car, a used car, then bring yourself along. I mean, we've got some real special stuff here. We've got S63 long saloon, S65 coupe, another S65, 63 saloon, the E53 that I've already reviewed, and that's up to like 38,000 views now. C43's coming along nicely as well. My favourite, absolute favourite weapon, E63S. So yeah, really it was just a quick look around to show you what else is here, but for now let's focus on this. Okay, so firstly, sat in this GTC, I've got to say it does feel very claustrophobic. I've mentioned it a couple of times already, but I'm quite tall, I'm 6'3", and it does have memory seats. They're electric memory seats, so I like to sit in a lower position, a lower seating position, but in this car, because of the seats resting against the boot separator effectively, it means that when you lower the seat, it puts it in more of an upright position. So for me to actually be able to sit lower with the seat reclined back where I want it, I have to sit a little bit further forward, so my feet are a little bit, I can't straighten my legs out completely, and due to that, the the view out of the near side wing mirror is obstructed by the A-pillar quite a lot. It cuts off top corner of the wing mirror, and they're quite big. The bonnet's very long, so it can be quite difficult to judge the size of this car, and visibility is limited. The rear view mirror, it's not too bad. It gives you enough, but it's very small. 0 to 60, I always start with that, so I'm going to flick it into Sports Plus. 3.7 seconds. The sound of that. Now this still has the same engine that we see in the whole GT family and the C63s now. E63s, pretty much all of the 63 family. So it's a 4-litre V8 bi-turbo, and it generates 557 brake horsepower. Now, that's only 28 brake horsepower less than the GTR. So that's impressive, and that sits it nicely between the GTS and the GTR. So the GT family, as we know, is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It started originally with the standard entry GT, and then GTS, GTR, and obviously GTC. But the GTC initially was a Edition 50 in the Coupe, so there was only 500 units available, and then you did have the Roadster. And I'm a little bit thrown by the meaning of the C with the GTC, because S and R, you can kind of understand that they're always associated with performance cars. You look at the Audi range, for example, RS6, RS4, then you have the S range. The C, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, and the fact that it falls between the GTS and the GTR, I don't really understand it. But like I say, initially I thought it meant cabriolet, because the Roadster is a drop top, and that made sense. But then they brought out the Coupe. But let's talk about this car. Let's get back to this car. I'm actually quite pleased that I'm reviewing this a little bit later than the majority of the reviews that are out there, because the GT has been out for a little while now, and obviously I'm talking about the whole family. We've seen the introduction of the GT63S 4-door, and that has the new interior with the S-Class steering wheel, the new dashboards, and I'm hoping that that's going to happen in this car. The pace that it's moving and how quickly Mercedes are developing the new technology, this just feels a little bit dated now. You've got the screen, the command screen's kind of just plonked in the middle, and don't get me wrong, it looked great when it first came out, but now that we've got these new dashes that are all being brought out, the widescreen cockpit, all built in with the speedometer, the IDC display in the new C-Class, there's a few things that need to be changed if they're going to develop this car. Interior wise, it still looks fantastic. You do feel a little bit snug. The center console is quite a big old unit, and it separates the driver and the passenger quite clearly. I want to talk about the AMG rear steer on this car. So usually when you're driving a car quite aggressively, you have to sacrifice something, whether it's speed, stability. You no longer have to do that with this car. With the rear steer up to 62 mile an hour, when you're cornering, the rear wheels will actually turn in the opposite direction of the front wheels. It then gets fun when you go over 62 miles an hour. So 62 miles an hour and above, the rear wheels then turn the same way as the front wheels, and you can instantly feel the additional grip and stability that it gives you. It's a clever technology, and like I say, it's not something that's available in the original GT, but it is on the GTC and the GTR, and it's an option on the GTS now. I mean, that sound is phenomenal. That is in Sports Plus, and the performance exhaust is on, but compared to the other AMG products I've reviewed so far, it just has a more aggressive sound. It's very deep and angry, and it's like an inner beast waiting to be released. But the handling, I just can't get over how well it handles, and that rear steer really does give you so much more stability. Externally, just to run through a few things there, the paint is brilliant blue metallic, and that's £895 cost option, and it has the 20-inch/19-inch cross-forged alloys in matte black, which are an £1,800 option, and yeah, they're bigger on the rear, smaller on the front. So one thing that did surprise me is that it's a 7G automatic speed shift gearbox, but actually when you drive it, you very quickly learn that the gear ratios seem to be that much longer, that 7 gears is more than enough. You don't tend to get up to 7th very, very often. I mean, I certainly haven't whilst I've been driving it, but the speeds it will do in 3rd and 4th, I've noticed more so, means that you just don't need those extra gears there. The E63 has the new 9G box, and I think it's a great gearbox, but I just don't think this car really needs it. And I guess it's just because the gearbox is set up slightly differently. I don't know that as a fact, but from driving it, I would say that the gears are slightly longer, and it copes with that absolutely fine. Like I say though, the technology side of things for me is something I feel Mercedes do need to work on. And I know we've got the GT63 4-door, as I've said, but the other one I didn't mention is they're bringing out the GT43 4-door. So they're introducing these new versions of the GT, but I still feel if they're going to continue to sell the family that we have already at the moment, i.e. GT, GTS, GTR and the GTC, then they need to update the technology. It is also one hell of a head turner. The amount of looks you get in this car, it just has that appearance about it. You've got the Panamericana front grille with this paint, brilliant blue. It looks incredible with the black contrasting nicely against the blue. Gloss black wing mirrors, side seals, the black alloys, black exhaust tips, all together it just looks incredible. And like I say, the stance and the low centre of gravity that it has, when you see it behind you, you just can't help but look at it. The built-in daytime running lights and the style and the design of the headlights looks so aggressive, and the sound that follows that all together, people just can't help but turn their heads and look at it. And again, the performance side of it and the sound, unbelievable. There is a little bit of road noise, but again, I think because you're that much lower to the ground, there is gonna be road noise, but it's not too bad. The majority of the noise is the engine, which is a pleasurable sound, so I don't think you can really complain about that. And I just think overall it's a nice step up from the GTS, an in between. So you do have a bit of a cross between the GTR, because it does share elements of the GTR, and it's just a little bit more than the GTS. So yeah, I think it's a great car. The only thing for me would be, if Mercedes do continue to produce these, they need to really redesign the interior and the technology, because it does feel a little bit dated. Next up, I believe, is going to be the CLS 53. It's been a little bit of a setback due to the break that I've had, so apologies for those of you that have been following and subscribing. It has been a bit of a wait for this video to come out, so I'm glad that it's now done and you guys can enjoy it. And yeah, next up is going to be the CLS 53, and that car I am really excited about, because the CLS has obviously been completely redesigned. The 53 is a new model altogether, and it looks stunning. It looks absolutely stunning. A little bit of feedback for you: the G-Wagon, the G63 review, has just tipped over 40,000 views. It's overtaken the E53, that's on 38. The C43's on 15,000 views, and I'm just blown away by it all. So thank you to everyone that continues to watch, continues to comment, the new subscribers, the existing subscribers. Thank you to all of you. It's very much a learning process for me. I've been doing this 5-6 weeks, and I'm just blown away by the amount of positive responses I've had. So if you have any tips or you have any suggestions, feel free to throw them my way, because I'm completely open to anyone's opinion, and I'll take any feedback, whether it's positive or if it's negative. It doesn't really matter. It all helps, and I'm just hoping that it continues to progress and brings new opportunities. Cars are something that I've always loved, and I've always been involved in the motor trade or around cars. So for me to be able to have the opportunity to drive these cars and review them for you guys to see, I couldn't ask for more. And the product itself, you know, Mercedes-Benz as a starting product for me to build this channel, I don't know what else I can say. But yeah, stay tuned for the next one, guys. It may not be next week, because obviously I do have personal arrangements as well, but it's either going to be next week or the following week, and that'll be the CLS 53. So once again, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.